Being an adult means I can put as much squash as I like in my cup. And there's no one here to judge me. This could be pure squash and you wouldn't even know. The Nintendo Switch is well over 4 years old, which is absolutely crazy to me. I feel like time doesn't exist. I feel like it was only yesterday that I was in the school playground watching people plank. Please tell me you remember the time of planking. Please. That was not worth it for the bit. Anyway, not only is the Switch 4 years old, there are over 5,000 games on the Nintendo Switch. And I tried to make a list of my favorites. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard. I got the Nintendo Switch a couple of months after it launched, and ever since then, I have been obsessed with the entire console. This was the first ever console I have owned by myself, and I have made the most of it. And I'd say the day I got the Nintendo Switch was the day I started identifying as a gamer. No one can tell you the moment you became a gamer. You just feel it, okay? Ever since then, I've been super eager to try out all the games that were on the Nintendo Switch. Now, before going into this list, there's one thing I just want to touch on. I put quite a high value on being able to play games with my family and my friends. So there's a few games in this list that while they might not be the best games on the Nintendo Switch, they're my favorite because every time I go home, every time I go around friends' houses, I have a great time playing it. And honestly, I think this is where the Nintendo Switch stands out as a console compared to every single other console out there. So just thought I'd put that heads up before you're like, oh, excuse me, what's this game? Now you know. These games are in no particular order, because I couldn't order them even if I wanted to. They're just all in a mishmash of my favorite games. But we're gonna start with the honorable mentions first. Yes, I copped out and put some honorable mentions. Sorry, not sorry. First honorable mention is Mario Kart. I feel like I could not put this on my top games on the Nintendo Switch because it is just a mere port, an expensive port at that, but we won't get into that today. But you can never go wrong with Mario Kart. It is a great game to play with friends. It's a great game to play by yourself, and it actually used to be my go-to when I was really stressed with uni work. I would just kind of lie there in bed playing Mario Kart for a couple of hours to de-stress. I don't know why it de-stressed me, but it just did. Another honorable mention is going to be Switch Sports. This actually almost made my list, but it's just a bit lacking so far to make the jump to my favorite games. One of the reasons I've mentioned it though is there are not that many games on the Nintendo Switch that are accessible for gamers and non-gamers alike. And this game is. This is old school Wii era accessibility to gaming. And I even managed to prove that my parents could play Switch Sports having not touched the game before. All right, we are on to the list. Number 1 is no surprise to anyone, and that is Breath of the Wild. I feel so basic including this in my list. It's an amazing game. The graphics, the music, the story, incredible. I think the only thing I wanted more of was story. I am a sucker for amazing cutscenes, and I just found myself wanting more. I need more. Breath of the Wild 2, I really hope, has more of a, not linear story, but just more story. I live for it. I still watch YouTube channels about Breath of the Wild lore even today. Next is Octopath Traveler, which, as you might have gathered from the name, involves you following the stories of 8 different people. It's a turn-based RPG where each of the 8 characters had such a unique story that gripped you in so many different ways and made you feel so many different things. The hardest thing about Octopath Traveler is deciding whose story you want to progress first, because I loved it so much. There were different ages, different genders, and if that wasn't enough for you, the boss battles are epic. The music makes them feel like such a big ordeal. Some of them took me like 40 minutes to defeat. And every time the boss turns to a different stage, the music goes up slightly and louder and faster, and it was so good. The only thing this game could have done better was to make each of the 8 characters interact more, and it would have been like top of my list, honestly. Next is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I have such a deep love for this game. It is unreal. I dare say this might have one of the best stories on the Nintendo Switch, and I think this is the only game on the Nintendo Switch that I've played where what you do affects which ending you get. I think every other story-based game I've played on the Nintendo Switch has a linear story, and this just added a whole new pressure I never knew I wanted, but I loved it. If you don't know, Fire Emblem is a tactical RPG in which you become a teacher at a school with 3 different houses. And not only is the story incredible and has different endings, There's also permadeath. You don't have to play with this setting on though. You are in control of every battle you send your students on. And if one of your students dies, they're dead forever.
Emotional damage.
This means that I was engaged in this gameplay in a way no other game has engaged me. I have never played a game like this before. I remember there was this one like fork in the story where I had to make a really big decision and I couldn't do it. I had to sleep on it. I was tossing and turning trying to figure out this decision. And the reason why the story makes you feel like this is because the characters are designed in such an incredible way. All the cutscenes are fully voice acted and voice acted incredibly well. And on top of that, dating is a thing you can do in the game, which means that you form this attachment with the students and with your fellow co-workers in such a realistic way. And not to spoil anything, but later on in the game, you might have to fight some of them. And it broke me, but that's one of the wonderful things about this game. You feel things which you're not used to feeling about a video game. Sometimes I struggle to pay attention with games, and this game made it so that if I stopped paying attention, there'd be horrific consequences. So I paid attention for every minute of this game. I loved it. Also, I married Edelgard. No regrets. No regrets. Next is Splatoon 2. And I know what you're thinking, Eeowna. You've made so many videos about comfy, cozy games. What is a first-person shooter doing in here? Let me explain. Okay? I am not a big fan of the first-person shooters. I've tried many. I've never really got into them. But this game's different. And that's because this game doesn't involve normal guns, no. You play as squids and octopuses. And instead of shooting bullets, you shoot ink. Stay with me. None of the game modes you play in this game is about who gets the most kills. The main game mode is called Turf War, and this involves you trying to cover the whole battle area in your rink. Whoever has the most amount of coverage wins. This means that the ideal guns you want to use are completely different. You want things that spread across a wide area, not things that will deal high damage. So this means that you get guns like aerosol guns, you get brushes, you get rollers. It's so unique. I love it so much. And on top of all of this, they have things called Splatfest. And considering Splatoon 3 is coming out in 3 months, I'm almost certain these will be coming back. These were these epic events held about once a month. And every month it'd ask you a question like, which is better, ketchup or mayonnaise? Which, by the way, is obviously ketchup. Mayonnaise sucks. And whoever made this, I have so many questions, but the first most important one is, are you okay? So you'd pick which team you're on, ketchup. And then all weekend, you will battle it out to represent Team Ketchup. And at the end of the weekend, it announced which team won the most amount of matches and therefore won the event. And this happened every month with different questions. It was so good. Sometimes I used to plan my weekends around making sure I was home for the entire Splatfest so I could do my team proud. I'm cool, okay? And the final reason why I love this game so much is the controls. Typically with first-person shooters, especially on console, I suck. I can't do the whole dual stick thing and actually aim at people. But that doesn't matter in this game because they have an incredible motion control setting. And it basically makes you feel like you're using a mouse because tiny little movements will move your cursor on the screen. It was so easy to use and so accessible for someone who wasn't very good at shooters like me that it made it worth the time to try and get good. Splatoon 2 was actually one of my first ever videos on this channel. It was removed because I didn't notice there was a certain object behind me for the whole of that video that would now get me demonetized. Why Nintendo thought it was a good idea to let you draw things and have those up on display for other players to see, I won't know. And as you can probably tell, I'm so excited for Splatoon 3 because I need this game back in my life. I need people playing it again. I've missed my weekends of Splatfesting and I can't wait. Next game will come as no surprise. Animal Crossing. My love for Animal Crossing New Horizons came before this channel even existed. And let me tell you a story. So picture this, it's Animal Crossing release day and the UK is on the verge of a lockdown. Me and my friend had both gotten this game and after we'd been sitting in the office together all day, we went back and we played Animal Crossing for 6 hours. I left my friend's house with the knowledge that university was shut for the foreseeable future. And by the time I woke up the next day, the country was in a lockdown. For the next 3 months, the only type of routine I had in my life was getting up in the morning, checking my turnip price, messaging it to my friends, because yes, we had a turnip price group chat. I'd then do uni work all day, and in the evenings, we held events where we'd all used to travel to each other's islands, whilst chatting with each other. There is no other game on the Nintendo Switch that would have provided that sort of comfort and support for so many people on the Nintendo Switch or any other console. This game came out when the world needed it most. And for many, this game holds a special place in its heart because we relied on it so much during that time period. Even now, it's still the perfect game for me to play when I don't feel like playing any games, if that kind of makes sense. Like, you can just mindlessly wander, pick up weeds, talk to villagers, get your little gaming fix when you really can't be bothered to do anything else. And although this game was probably one of my favorites before I even started becoming a content creator, all the amazing memories I made whilst being a content creator also added to this. So if you're wondering if now I'd say get Animal Crossing, I'd still say do it. If you're someone who needs routine in your life, this can give it to you. Next game is definitely something you will not be expecting, and that is Rayman Legends. And you're probably like, I don't know what. Okay, look, this is very biased. I mean, the whole thing is biased. This is my favorite games. The whole point is to be biased. Is it the best game on the Switch? No, but it is an incredible platformer with so many amazing modes. You can play football and it's ridiculous. Fun. You can do normal platformer levels, you can do hard platformer levels, and you can do music levels. Yup, levels where you jump and whack in time to the music. Oh, they are so iconically good. And the best part is every mode you play in this game can also be played in multiplayer. There's even a button that is dedicating to slapping each other. You can just be doing anything and just slap each other across the face. It's great. But the reason I love this game so much and it's so dear to my heart is whenever I was back from uni and my dad would come home from work, we would play this game for hours. Sometimes games don't even have to be that good for you to have the best memories with them. And speaking about games that give you the best memories, Mario Party Superstars. Don't get the other one sucks. This is one of the 3 games my mum can play. And one of the reasons why she loves playing this is you don't have to be good at this to win. Some of it's dumb luck, and for people who don't game regularly, it is perfect. Not to mention this game has everything I used to love about Mario Party inside of it, plus a really solid online play. This game is great for family and friends evenings in. Let me tell you a story. I feel like this is just story time with Eeowna. I remember when I was younger, we went to my Gramps' house with a GameCube. Gramps is just a different way of saying granddad. And me and my brother were playing Mario Party when Gramps and his girlfriend came over and asked to play with us. And after figuring out they were serious, we said of course and got our 2 other GameCube controllers out and ready. Cut to 2 hours later of my parents desperately coaching Gramps and his girlfriend through this. Gramps' girlfriend ended up walking away with the win. We're talking like 15 years ago, and that memory still lives so fondly in my heart. That's what Mario Party can do. You are guaranteed to have a great time whether you win or lose. It's that kind of game. So no, it's not a game that you'll probably be playing every day, but it is such an amazing game when there's 4 of you to play together. And this game, unlike WarioWare, still lives up to its name on the Nintendo Switch. And then we have my final game. I know I said I couldn't order them, but like this might be top of my list. And that's Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I know. Not what you were expecting. I don't even know how rational my love for this game is, but I love it so much. And I feel like whenever I tell people this is my favorite game on the Switch, they're like, yeah, what? But yeah, it is. One, it is great value for money. I think I got 120 hours in before I finished the main story, and I had a bunch of side quests left that I still had to do. This was my first ever Xenoblade game, and it was a great entry into it. I feel like this game is a difficult one to describe. It's an RPG with the most incredible story building, world building, character development I have ever seen in a game. You live in a world where you live on a creature's back, and your weapons are kind of people. I'm not really selling this, okay? But this is a game on a scale I have never seen before. The battle system is so unique, and I had so much fun learning it actually. I had to watch YouTube videos to fully get to grips with it because just reading words is hard for me. But once I did, it was such a fun battle system to explore and perfect. And I loved every single moment of this. The music made every new part of the world absolutely extraordinary to explore. The story was so gripping. I sometimes found myself almost rushing the main quests just to get there. I think this is one of the first games that I've fallen head over heels for. You know when you're at work, but all you can think about is the game and you're just biding your time to get back to the game? That's how I felt with this game. That's how you know a game's got a grip on you. I really do hope that maybe a demo comes out for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 so people can have a go at it. Not that having demos worked out really well for Mario Strikers, but hopefully they'll still do it. Those are my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. And if you made it this far, then put the code word puddles down below so I know you made it to the end. And let me know in the comments what games are your favorite on the Nintendo Switch. I would love to know. And for those of you who didn't know, from very credible sources, there looks to be a Nintendo Direct on June 29th. So if you want to see all my predictions for the Direct, just click here. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.